When Ed and I first started PAWS, I had already worked with the elephants for a good number of years. Actually, I've worked with the elephants for 35 years. And when Ed and I began PAWS, I had already decided early on that I could not hit an elephant. I could never discipline an elephant, and I could not even pick up a bullhook. So my way of working with elephants was quite different to the standard that people in zoos and people at circuses used. And Ed and I just sort of bumbled our way through working with our own elephants without the use of any dominance or fear or any kind of training that was control. And when we got 71, I still have video of the day I cut the cord with the tag around her neck, 71, and I said she will never be chained, she will never be trained, no one will ever hit her. And that sort of was how we felt about keeping elephants. But as we began to have more and more elephants and we needed assistance, we realized we weren't going to teach somebody else how to do what we do because it's highly dangerous. And I would never jeopardize somebody else's life with my own personal philosophy, which might work for me and not work for them. So back in the early 1990s, when Ed and I heard about protected contact training and read about it, we were so excited. This was a formal training program that allowed elephants to choose what they wanted to do, never punish them, never force them to do anything. It was totally cooperative on the part of the elephant, and it was a method that could be taught to other people so they could work with elephants safely. Let's face it, in captivity, we can't just open the gate and turn them loose and let them roam. The elephants, many of them, have lived on concrete. They've lived in limited space. They've stood on chains. They have kidney problems, urinary tract infections. They have foot problems, joint problems. And when they're in your care and they're suffering, you must do things to make them feel better. And it does work. Minnie and Rebecca are now enjoying a wonderful life because we've been able to medicate them, draw blood for blood tests, treat kidney problems, and do all of these wonderful treatments that will make them feel good. And we've trimmed Wanda's feet so she's able to walk. Her feet were full of abscesses, and if you don't care for those, they get infected and there are major problems. If an elephant can't walk and they can't move, they will die. So this wonderful protected contact program trains elephants to touch a target. It's just a bamboo pole with some tape wrapped around it, highly edible if they choose to eat it. They often do. And they learn to touch their head or their foot or whatever part of the body we need to have close to us. And the keepers can stand behind a protective barrier so that if the elephant becomes angry and wants to swing at them or lash out or move away, they're protected. They don't get hurt. And it's such a marvelous technique. Ed and I aren't really very good at it. We're so used to just putting our bodies in there. But for our keepers, it is amazing. And the two people who we work with on a regular basis have a company called Active Environments. They travel all over the world. Gail Lawley and Margaret Whitaker. They go to zoos where elephants, bulls are living in solitary confinement, and they make life better for all of these captive elephants by training keepers, by suggesting bigger spaces. They are incredibly gifted, talented people. And when we knew we were bringing Nicholas to PAWS, before we even said we would do it, I asked them if they would help us, because quite frankly, we already had 10 elephants, and we could not fly and train Nicholas and Gypsy to load in a truck. We couldn't spend every day with them because we had 10 other elephants. So we knew we needed to train our best keepers, and we needed a formal program that worked for everybody. And Gail and Margaret successfully have trained Nicholas and Gypsy for all the blood tests that they must have because they're quarantined, for all of the medical workups that we need to do. And Margaret successfully, in 10 days, trained Maggie to walk into a crate and load on a plane. And I cannot tell you how painless Maggie's migration to PAWS was. I mean, she practically sat there and ordered cocktails. She was so relaxed. And it's all because of Margaret and her skills. And Gail, these two people, if I had $1 million, I'd send them everywhere where there are elephants who need help, because they are incredibly gifted at what they do. And we're such big supporters of this benign, kind, caring method of working with the elephants. So we wanted to let all of our supporters see some of the work that Gail and Margaret do with the elephants at PAWS.